Hello, my name is Christopher Howerton, and I am the North Representative for the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges. I am honored to be speaking with you today. I only regret that I could not be with you in person. I saw the agenda and I know you have a great program planned for your event. The Academic Senate for California Community Colleges is committed to improving student outcomes and closing achievement gaps, and we see the implementation and advancement of credit for prior learning as an equity initiative. As you are well aware, being leaders in the state for CPL work, credit for prior learning is an evidence-based strategy that awards college credit for knowledge and skills gained previous to students enrolling in our colleges. Awarding credit for prior learning can help students fast track their certificates and degrees while enabling them to focus on their chosen career paths. Now, these qualified experiences could include work experience, apprenticeships, internships, employer training programs, military service and training, state and federal government training, volunteer work, independent study, and maybe even civic activities. Some research has shown that students who earn credit for prior learning are roughly twice as likely to complete a degree than those who do not. These students can also accumulate more credits through coursework at institutions than their counterparts and could save an average of 6 to 10 months in time to degree compared to their non-CPL counterparts. These data points reinforce why this work is so important for our students and within the communities that we serve. Current CPL implementation varies widely across the California Community College system. Prior to these recent formal efforts to increase the application of CPL, we had methods of assessing prior learning, which included credit by exam, review of the joint service transcripts and standardized exams, such as the Advanced Placement Credit Exam. There's also the International Baccalaureate Examination Program. There's the CLEP. So although these continue to be great opportunities for students and known assessments, two new bills in 2018 put a stronger spotlight on the need for all of us in the California Community College system to systematically strengthen credit for prior learning efforts locally. In 2018, two bills mandate CPL in California community colleges: Senate Bill 1071 and Assembly Bill 1786. Both of these bills were approved by the governor and filed in September of 2018. First, Senate Bill 1071 focused on awarding military and veterans who have an official joint service transcript course credit. This bill required that all community college districts by the end of last year, December of 2020, to have updated policy to be consistent with the policy developed by our chancellor's office and posted online. Second, Assembly Bill 1786 established an initiative to expand the use of course credit at the California community colleges for students with prior learning. Now, the Success Center for California Community Colleges findings and recommendations connect the expansion of credit for prior learning as a vision for success strategy and ask colleges to consider the integration of CPL into guided pathways and encourage additional collaboration with our four-year segment partners to ensure transfer of these credits. Now, earlier this year, the Chancellor's Office for California Community Colleges hosted a series of webinars to support credit for prior learning work. Now, these webinars were focused on basically the nuts and bolts on practices from many of our community college colleagues who are implementing various CPL assessment methods. Individual assessment method topics included the portfolio review, industry certification, and formal military training. And also during our most recent ASCCC Curriculum Institute this past summer, we held a couple of breakout sessions focused on credit for prior learning, sharing some behind the scenes institutional CPL efforts, but also some student-facing CPL effective practices. Now, legislation focused on CPL is not focused solely on the California community colleges, but also to other system partners. Now, excuse me. Additionally, you may be aware of the current proposed legislation that has recently passed the State Assembly and Senate as of early September and has been enrolled. Assembly Bill 1002 which is course credit for prior military education, training, and service. Now, if this bill becomes law, this bill will require that the Office of the Chancellor for the CSU system, in collaboration with the Academic Senate of the CSU, and request the University of California to develop by September 1st of 2022 a consistent policy to award military personnel and veterans who have an official joint service transcript course credit in a course taught at the campus where the student matriculates with subject matter similar or equivalent, and of course, subject to academic and faculty review, to that of the student's military education, training, and service. The bill would also require that each campus of the CSU, and of course request the UC, to have an effect by December 31st, 2023, a policy consistent with the respective policies developed by the Office of the Chancellor of the CSU and the UC and posted on its internet website, the most pursuant to the bill. So you can see that the work we've been doing this past couple of years is now moving. We're leaders moving into our system partners. But now back to our system. Because practices vary widely across the California Community College system, it is important that there is transparency and ease for our students to know about our local process of determining an assessment to verify credit for prior learning. So on behalf of the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges, I want to thank you for your work. You are leaders in these efforts, and thank you for hosting events like this so that we as a community can learn from each other to support our system and, most importantly, our students. If you have any additional questions or need support, please reach out to the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges by emailing info@asccc.org. Once again, thank you for your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful event.